So Kelly and I were sitting here discussing plans, and one of our major issues that came up was that we're always dealing with clients who don't want to start with us as interior designers, but want to start with an architect or even a contractor sometimes. And so she and I have been discussing, how do we combat that? What can we do, if anything, to not have that situation? And the reason it's pertinent here is because Kelly comes from a family of architects. Both her father and her brother are architects, and we work with them, and she's been working with them for a long time since she's got her interior design degree. So any thoughts about, we had one recently, we ran into a situation recently with a client who was all excited, right?
Yes.
Asked us to come on a short notice, as I recall, on a Saturday afternoon when we were dropped everything, went there. We had a nice discussion, as I recall, with you bonded with them, especially the wife, as I recall. And we didn't know what to do afterwards when they came back to us and said, well, we really think that we should start with an architect. And they started the process of interviewing architects, which we assume they're doing right now, but we don't know. So, what do you think?
I think it's important to hire the designer first, because we lay out each room as
how it functions, basically.
How it functions,
right?
And where furniture is going to go, and lighting, and in the future it helps prevent from more revisions from an architect or structural engineer, which could be very costly to a client.
Have you ever tried to your father and your brother explain that process to them, and are they receptive to it in any way, or? They are very open to interior designers and their thoughts and how rooms should be and where windows should be located. They definitely don't have an ego, that's what I say. That's true. I know that, which is good. And yes. Not true of every architect.
Not true of every architect. Most architects let their ego get in the middle of it, and they don't want to change their design. Whereas my father and brother are more open to it, and they love to hear other people's ideas and move things around and make it really functional for the client.
Yeah, in fact, in the other project, one of the other projects we're working on right now, is that we came back to your father with major revisions to his design. And I was actually amazed myself, because I was like, ooh, how's this going to go? And he was very much like, oh, that's a good idea. Yeah, we can do that. We can do that. Because we approached him, as I recall, based on structurally, what impact does it have? So I think that, yeah, you're absolutely right, that they are very much that way. But there are a lot of architects who are not that way, too.
Yeah.
So, but the real question that I have struggled with, and that's why you and I started this conversation, is like, how do we convince a client when we're standing there in front of them that that's what they should do, rather than going to the architect or starting with the contractor?
Most clients want to listen to whatever they hear from friends or from family, so they don't listen to us.
Right.
And
you're right.
We have to sit back and let them make their own decisions, and eventually make mistakes or more revisions to the plans, which cost them a lot more money. But they only learn their lesson when they learn.
And I think that you brought up a good point. The money is always a factor to me.
Yes.
And we tried that also, to point that out to them. It's like, if you have to make revisions or changes, it not only takes time, it's going to stall you getting started on a project, it's also going to cost you money. So that was the other thing that was...
Stalls your permits, it stalls construction, everything.
Yeah. So anyway, so I guess that's all we can do, right? We can just explain to them, give them to the best of...
Hope they trust us.
Yes. Well, I think that's a very important point, too.
It's trust.
Is that, and how you get that is, I've always tried to tell everyone that works in interior design or in mentoring them, you start by getting someone to trust you and bond with you. So you have to find some common ground, and I use it as something I'm not an animal person, and so I don't relate to the last people I'm talking about. They had 2 dogs, as I recall.
Yeah, and a snake.
And a snake. Oh yeah, I forgot that part. The steak was uninvited.
Yes.
It wasn't being taken care of in the family. It's just something Kelly happened to notice under her foot when we went to the backyard. So that was quite an experience. But and she was very good about doing that, Bonnie. I try, but I don't carry it off very well because I really don't enjoy
Yeah.
animals that much. So, and sometimes it's children, sometimes it's school, sometimes it's where you're from, all kinds of things like that too. So those are all, I think, really critical things, is to, bond with the people, enlist their trust, try to explain to them and educate them about why they should start with us, starting from the inside out, how they function, how they want it to end up looking,
Yeah.
and then go from there too. So, any other closing thoughts?
No,
No.
we nailed it.
No, we nailed it.
We nailed it.
Okay, thanks. We'll be back, I'm sure, with some more topics in the future.